Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me, see my screen?
Yep, perfect. Thanks, Raquel.
Okay, great. So I'll just start. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in today's webinar about sustainability plan implementation for NUI Galway. My name is Raquel, and I'm the president of the ASHRAE NUI Galway student branch. And today we'll have three speakers talking about this sustainability plan strategy for 2021-2025 at NUI Galway, and viewing three aspects of it. First one about how the strategy was planned, and then how it's being implemented, and then the student contribution to it. So the agenda for today, we're starting now at 1 o'clock. So I'm just like giving this opening, and then at 1:10, Professor Jamie Goggins is going to talk about the NUI Galway Sustainability Strategy plan for 2021-2025. And then our next speaker in 1:25 o'clock will be Michael Curran, talking about the sustainability implementation in the NUI Galway campus. Then our next speaker, the last speaker, is Hannah Aris, talking about the NUI Galway Energy Society and the student contribution to sustainability. And then I'll make some closing remarks, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end where you can ask the speakers questions and have them answered. So it'll be 15 minutes for each one of the speakers, and half an hour for the Q&A session at the end. So the first talk about NUI Galway Sustainability Strategy 2021-2025 is going to talk about the strategy background, how it was envisioned and developed, what is the strategy and the main topics addressed in it, the stakeholders involved in the strategies, and the community and university sustainability partnership, the CUSP team, and their main goals. And this speech is going to be given by Professor Jamie Goggins, who is established professor at NUI Galway, chartered engineer, co-principal investigator at Murray Center at Ryan Institute, academic manager, ERBE Center for Doctoral Training, chair of Community University Sustainability Partnership Board, and the director of research and innovation at the School of Engineering. And the second talk will be about the sustainability implementation in the NUI Galway campus, about the ongoing and proposed actions to implement the NUI Galway Sustainability Strategy 2021-2025 on campus, the stakeholders involved in the implementation, and the role of the NUI Galway buildings and sites in this implementation. And this talk is going to be given by Michael Curran, who is head of Building Services, Energy and Utilities at NUI Galway, chartered engineer, and the chair of CIBSE Ireland. And then our last talk would be about the NUI Galway Energy Society and the student contribution to sustainability. It is going to talk about the role and contributions of the Energy Society and the NUI Galway students in general in the development of the NUI Galway Sustainability Strategy 2021-2025, and the Energy Society activities past, ongoing, and scheduled regarding sustainability on campus. And this talk is going to be given by Hannah Aris, who is the president of the Renewable Energy Society at NUI Galway. She's also vice president of the Human STEM Society at NUI Galway, and a PhD student in biomedical engineering at NUI Galway. So I have three different perspectives of the sustainability on campus. Thank you very much, Jamie, Michael, and Hannah, for accepting the invitation to talk and to join us today. So now we're going, I'll pass the word to Jamie if you want to start your presentation. Just stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thanks, Raquel. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the invite. in there. So I'm going to quickly run through the NUI Galway Sustainability Strategy for 2020, 2021 to 2025. A little bit of background behind it, what's in it, and some of the high-level progress, I suppose, in the last year or so against it. And then Mike will give a bit more detail in terms of some of the things that are done in the university. So it's very fitting that this is a student-led event today, because students have been the drivers behind the university having sustainability as a core value in the university. And so it's great to have Hannah here as well, that's going to give the student perspective. But when the university was consulting with the university community and the wider community about the overall strategy of the university, so the 2020 to 2025 strategy, which is called Shared Vision Values, they first started with the values and tried to decide what would be the core values of the university. So there was a long list that came from the consultation, and then they were discussed and ranked and so on further by the university community and beyond. And sustainability was one of the top values. I think it might have been second of all the values that came from the students. A little bit further down from the staff, maybe third or something like that, or fourth in there. So the students, because they had put so much weight on sustainability as a core value, that ended up being one of the 4 core values for the university overall in our current overall strategy, which is called Shared Vision, Shaped by Values. The other 3 are respect, excellence, and openness. When that strategy was being launched, the president of the university, Curran also signed the SDG Accord. And by signing the SDG Accord, what the president said is that the university will align all major efforts, whether that's in teaching, research, operations, or engagement, to the Sustainable Development Goals, targets, and indicators. So basically, everything we do in the university should be aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals, targets, and indicators, and that we will share that lessons that we've learned with other institutions around the world and report on our progress against the SDGs. That was a very important thing to do. If I roll back a little bit further, this is one of the original groupings from the CUSP group. This is the Community University Sustainability Partnership grouping, and this was established, I think, in 2015, and so that was where the deputy of the university had invited some of the leaders of the university to an away day, and one was Colin Brown, who was the director of the Ryan Institute, and he proposed that we look at the university and try and make it a healthy, green, sustainable campus. So he brought together this group, or formed this group in the university of basically people who had a strong interest in sustainability and transforming the university. And from that, then we developed the very first strategy. So the very first sustainability strategy for the university was 2017. It was 2017 to 2020. And the strategy, the original strategy and our current strategy is built around a learn, live, lead model. So we learn about sustainability in our research and our learning and our teaching. We live sustainability right across the broad range. So the energy and greenhouse gas emissions, the nature and ecosystem, and biodiversity, health and well-being, built environment, and so on. And then we lead by example. So we lead by example in terms of our own governance and leadership within the university, but also our engagement broader than the university as well. So you see, it's a very broad and holistic model that we're looking at in terms of sustainability. We would have taken, when we were coming up with this model, we would have looked around internationally and found out what was best practice and what other people had done. So the learn, live, lead kind of model would have taken inspiration from Penn State in the US, and subsequently then we've now got Michelle Halsell, who is a deputy director in the sustainability office in Penn State, is one of our advisors on the sustainability advisory board in the university. So we took the learn, live, lead model, and then we also, all the subsections of the research and learning, greenhouse gas emissions and energy, nature and ecosystem, and so on, all kind of fitted within our current system of how the university is managed as well. So it's important to try and match, our vision with something that we could operate. So we have working groups in each one, and the working groups have a leader as well, and it kind of mapped up with the way some of the units were already divided up in the university. So as I said, we took inspiration from Penn State and from others as well when we were trying to do this, but also others have taken inspiration from what we've done. So if I take, another professional body, so Engineers Ireland, professional body for engineers in Ireland, 25,000 members. They've actually adapted a similar model for Engineers Ireland. They have adapted, they've a learn, live, lead, and they've also a link added in there. So that's the kind of communication part of it as well. So that's how they have taken their framework, the sustainability framework that they are currently implementing as well. So, you know, this is a very adaptable model that can be taken by different organizations in there. So then our second strategy, so our first strategy was 2017 to 2020, and we did well in delivering on that strategy. And then our most recent strategy, 2021 to 2025, was launched earlier this year in February 2021, I think February or March, and was launched by Mary Robinson, Dr. Mary Robinson, who's former President of Ireland, who's the chair of the elders, and very influential internationally, and very, very powerful person in terms of their influence and what they have done in terms of transformational change around the world. Within the strategy, as I said, it's broken into the different sections according to our underneath the Learn, Live, Lead model, and within the different working groups. So there's a working group for each of these to implement the strategy. So I'm just going to run through some of the highlights, I suppose, of some of the targets within the strategy, the sustainability strategy. So the first under the chapter of research and learning, or the working group of research and learning, that we integrate sustainability across all education programs. So effectively that all students will get experience, a sustainability experience across the curriculum, co-curriculum, extracurriculum, and so on. So there's an opportunity for all to learn about sustainability. So we have now a university-wide sustainability module, and that's being implemented across the university, but also we've also did an assessment of the existing modules and the learning outcomes in the university to see how much we have embedded the sustainable development goals and where the gaps are in there. Also for all new staff now that's joined the university, there's as part of the induction, the sustainability training in there. In terms of our research side, we had to establish a baseline of funded research projects aligned to the SDGs, the sustainable development goals, and our ambition or target for the university is that over 60% of our research income is aligned to sustainable development goals. So every new project comes into the university now, you know, the PI or the principal investigator will say which the SDGs, if any, it's aligned to. And then to have leadership in sustainability, innovation, and entrepreneurship is another target in there. In terms of energy and greenhouse gas emissions, even since this has been improved upon, but said that we improved the energy efficiency by 45% from 2005, reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 15%, on the 2021 baseline, and electricity to come from renewables, 20% of it by 2025. And Michael is going to talk a little bit more about those in his presentation and how those have evolved since last year, I suppose. In terms of nature and ecosystem, develop a biodiversity plan for the university, which has been done and is implemented, and we're monitoring that. We're monitoring progress against that implementation plan in there. Demonstrate linkages between sustainability management of campus and campus diversity in there. So, you know, what is the linkage between how we're managing the campus in terms of operation and how the biodiversity is improving within the campus as a result of it. Sign the Leave No Trace framework and principles. We have to do that yet. And co-develop community projects in the city and county with key partners. So we are doing that. For example, National Parks Galway is one of those key partners. In terms of health and well-being, so sustainability, you know, is very broad. If you ask some people, and I would agree with this, that if you put health and well-being to the core and the central part of your strategy in terms of sustainability, then other things will follow out. If we think of the health and well-being of people, place, and all living beings, then if we consider that, then we will be more sustainable. So in terms of the people, to achieve the Keep Well mark, which we've done this year, so it's an IBAC accredited thing in terms of health and well-being. Achieve a healthy campus status, which we're on at the moment. Smoke-free campus, we're partially smoke-free, not fully smoke-free, so that's something that needs to be implemented and reduce the level of harm from drinking amongst the students year on year, which has been worked on and tracked. So there's, you know, these are just 4. There's a lot more targets and a lot more in the strategy other than these. In terms of built environment, to reduce the water consumption over the baseline, ban single-use plastic items, reduce food waste, and establish a baseline carbon footprint by 2021 and reduce year on year. So they're all being worked on at the moment. In terms of governance and leadership, to show year-on-year progress in the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, impactful partnerships established with the community groups in there, so we have a number of those already. All Green Labs certified, so for example, in the university, we were the first lab in Europe to have green lab certification in there. Dr. Una Fitzgerald led that, and this year there's 10 new labs that are undergoing certification as a result of that, and that will hopefully now continue on a national level. There's labs in other institutions now that are doing the same. Achieve a STARS ranking and improve the award ranking. So we did that this year. So STARS, it's a sustainable tracking and assessment methodology in there. It's a self-reporting system. We have a 200 and odd page report as a result of it, and we did get our first ranking, which is a gold. So we're one of 133 institutions worldwide to get a gold ranking. So to improve on that, we would have to get a platinum next time, which is a big ask. And then achieve a pathway to carbon neutrality, which I'll expand on a little bit. So I mentioned some of this progress against the strategy. These documents are all available to view yourselves, and I'll show you some links later on. But every year you have a strategy, you need to go and track that strategy and see how well we're doing against it. So we have quarterly reports in terms of the implementation against the action plan for a given year, and then we report annually on the on progress against sustainability progress. So both progress against the sustainability strategy, but also progress against embedding our the SDGs into everything we do. We have some targets there in terms of carbon footprint, but we had no carbon footprint from the university, so it's very important to do an initial carbon footprint. So we had a baseline in there, so that was done earlier this year. The STARS I mentioned, the policy and procedures in there. So we have now formally adopted things that we had done, like the SDG Accord and our commitment to carbon neutrality in our new climate action and sustainability policy. And we've taken some awards in there as well during the year. We've also done well in terms of the impact rankings, which I'm happy to discuss later on. But just in terms of the climate action sustainability policy for the university, so this is a very important policy because it says two things in there, or two big things. One is that we're going to lead to a sustainable future by embedding the Sustainable Development Goals, targets and indicators into all our major efforts, including education, research, leadership, professional services, operation and engagement activities. So that's effectively taking in what we said by signing the SDG Accord and making it into a policy for the university. So that means that every unit within the university will have to show how their operational plans align to the Sustainable Development Goals and show how their progress are against Sustainable Development Goals each year. And the other side of the policy is that we said that we will embed carbon management into all our university operations and processes with a view to achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2020, in line with efforts to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And that's a big ask, and I'll show you why in a second. So this is our report. So this is a very recent report. This was published last month. This is our annual report for 2020-2021. If you go onto our website, there you see the hyperlink on the top of the screen for it, and that will give you you'll get directly into the report. So the first section of the report, as I said, is progress against the strategy, and the second section is highlights of the things we're doing to help with the Sustainable Development Goals, targets, and indicators. So the one here I just highlighted is SDG 6, which is clean water and sanitation. And each section is divided into students and learning, research, and the community engagement side of things. The gold rating, the STARS gold rating, is something we're very proud of. One of our students, Thomas Adams, did a lot of work on this, preparing the report together with colleagues right across the university. So Michelle O'Dowd-Lohan is our sustainability officer for the university. It was her idea and drive to go for the STARS, and it's a very useful self-reporting system. And why it is that if you look here on the graph, it shows us what credits, it's all a credit-based system. So it shows us what credits we've achieved, what we haven't achieved, and we haven't pursued. So as a result of this, we were able to reflect on what we're good at in terms of sustainability, what we need to improve on, and then we've been able to do a gap analysis, and that will then inform our implementation plan for 2022 in terms of what we're going to do in 2022 to help deliver our sustainability strategy and help fill some of these gaps that are identified by this self-assessment system. But we're very proud that we've got a gold rating. It's not an easy thing to do. So and that's thanks to lots and lots of people. There has to be a university-wide approach to sustainability. It's not just a few people. There's the CUSP group, which is about 30 people, that are volunteering, that are trying to bring things together. But it's you need a lot of the 20,000 people across the university to engage, to be able to become truly sustainable campus. Just to reflect on the challenges, I suppose this is the challenge associated with our goal to become net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050 and move ambitiously towards carbon neutrality by 2030. So there's a report, if you're interested, you can find that carbon footprint report on the nuigalway.ie/sustainability website. And the emissions associated with the university in 2019 was 53,800 tons of carbon dioxide. So there's about 20,000 people on campus or so, a little bit more. So you can see it's about 2.5 tons per person associated of greenhouse gases in terms of carbon dioxide equivalent associated with it. If you look at the pie chart there, or the bar, the column stack that we have there, I've drawn that column stack on top of the quad. So the quadrangle building in the front of the university, if you take the footprint of that quadrangle, and if you extend that up to be 5 kilometers tall in the air, then the volume that encompasses would be the volume that you need to hold all of that carbon, that 53,800 tons that's attributable to the university every year. And if you look at the colors of it, the blue ones at the bottom are scope 1 and 2, and I think Michael will talk about those. He is the person in the university responsible for the greenhouse gas emissions and the energy associated with scope 1 and 2. So that's basically the greenhouse gas emissions associated with the energy that we use on campus in there. So that's about 18% or so of our overall emissions. The business travel is about 8%, I think, which is the purple one. So that's the student staff going to conferences in particular, and flying is the big part of that. The orange one is commuting, so students and staff coming to and from campus, which is about 20,000 people or so. But the big contributors to those are the staff in particular, and the staff driving to and from campus in there. So a lot of staff drive, and a lot of staff drive in a car on their own in and out of campus. So even though that commuting is attributable to the university as scope 3 emissions, it is something that the university has to work with the broader community on, the people within the university, but also the local authority, the transport authorities, and so on in there, to try and reduce that emissions down. And obviously there's things that the university can do themselves to discourage people from driving in and out of campus. But the big one there on the top is the purchase goods and services. It's over 50% of emissions are associated with the purchase of goods and services in the university. So all of us, when we are considering, do we really need to buy something in it? Is it necessary that we have to buy it? And then if it is necessary that we have to buy it, is there an alternative product, or can we consider what the environmental impact is of the product that we're buying? Is there an alternative product that we can buy that has lower impact on the environment? Okay, so you can find out lots more. There's a nice website, nuigalway.ie/sustainability, that pulls a lot of this, all the information together from the university annual reports there. The strategy is available in it. You can get involved. You can follow us on Twitter or on Instagram in there. And I think that's it in my summary. So I'll hand back over to you, Raquel, if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jamie, for your very insightful presentation. Now I hand over the mic to Michael, so I can talk about more how this strategy is being implemented in the NUI Galway campus. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Raquel, and thanks again for the invitation to yourself and Daniel. It's great to see societies, especially engineering societies, student branches, being so active, especially here on campus. I hope you can all see the screen okay, so I'm just going to start clicking through. The presentation really is bringing you through a journey of some of the stuff that's happening on campus, that has happened, and what we're looking at doing in the near future. I suppose, look, the ongoing questions that you asked was the ongoing proposed actions to implement the NUI Galway Sustainability Strategy 2021-2025, stakeholders involved, and the role of NUI Galway buildings and estates in the implementation. So I thought I'd start with first the energy team. Who are the energy team? Well, the energy team here on campus is led by the president. He signs the energy policy every year. It was signed again probably 2 weeks ago, because we just completed our ISO 50001 accreditation yesterday. It was a 2-day audit, and thankfully we passed without any observations or comments. So we're delighted that's us safe for another 3 years. Again, John Gill is Chief Operating Officer, and Dennis O'Connor, who's the new Buildings and Estates Director. And as you can see, there's a whole list of other people down through the team there. And yeah, it's quite a big team looking after the energy on campus. The last few weeks has been quite important, even the last few days with the weather storm. It does cause a problem with this. So the other role that I have in university is I'm the Energy Performance Officer. So I just talk you through that. This was just a quick one for us. This year we were on the SEI Energy Award. We were runner-up as Energy Team of the Year. Dún Laoghaire Rathdown Council won that this year, with Pfizer and ourselves running up. So we're delighted again to be a finalist. It was the 3rd year in a row we were finalists. So we're getting there. We've won it again in 2019, I think it was. So again, we were runner up again with the Green Energy Award. So shows you the team want to keep improving. So we hopefully take a few more awards over the few years to come. As I said, why are we reducing energy? Well, the reducing energy is it's a statutory law, public sector energy reduction. ISI 426 came in, all public bodies must reduce energy. So NUI Galway are a public sector body, so it's up to us to engage with that and sign up to the accord. The report in 2020, the Public Sector Energy Efficiency Report, we are listed within that report. It's available online. You can download the report. And again, this year was the first time we actually got a mention in it. They went through some of our projects, which is good for the university to show what's happening. Public Senate, so the Energy Performance Officer, just explain, the Energy Performance, it's a designated person within the university that reports to government in terms of what you have to do for reducing energy on campus within your building. We have to drive the implementation plans through the university. We ensure we're setting our annual targets, etc. And we link in and report to the government bodies on an annual basis. Those reports then are sent back to the university, to the president, and then he implements or any other projects with it. So again, we do this through what's called the monitoring, report and M&R process. And as you can see, we report probably on it's normally around March, April, on all our energy used through gas, electricity, through the wood pellets, renewable energies, anything else, etc. And then SEI go off and they verify all those with the, I suppose, the bodies that supply the electricity and gas. So on site, I think we were only talking about, yes, we have 540 meters on campus that's measuring everything that's going on a daily basis. So it's quite an extensive network. So as Jamie mentioned, in the strategy 21-2025, we set a number of targets. One was improved energy efficiency, 45%, reduce our carbon gas emissions. That target is basically still the same. The government by 2030 are expecting us to reduce it by 50%. So yeah, it's achievable. 20% of electricity coming from renewable on site. So we'll discuss that coming up. There's other bits and pieces as well that we put in about developing new strategies and display certs. But also, as this year is the first year that SEI will be asking for us to submit official readings for the scope 3 on travel for staff. And so we're involved now with the expense office, because that's where people log their expenses for travel or for flights, etc. So that'll be an interesting one going forward. So why are we doing all this? Well, Climate Action Plan 2019 came out to set a few targets, and then the new Climate Action Plan came out in 2021. It set further targets. So it's 50% improvement in our energy efficiency, 50% reduction in CO2 by the sector. But the most important one for us is that all public sector buildings to be B2 rated by 2030. What does that mean? Anyway, Galway has about 125 buildings, and at least 60% of those buildings are under B rating. Go C, D, E, F. So all those buildings need to be brought up to the standard by 2030. And then we have to realize that some of the buildings that are in the B category by 2030 will slip back into a C category, so they need to get brought up. That's quite a big undertaking. And again, decarbonisation of our heat system and transport system, and achieve near zero energy related greenhouse gases by 2050. And also, a new thing that's come out as part of this is that the EPO will produce monthly reports to the minister, and those failing will be fined through some carbon reductions in the carbon bill coming out. So how do we do it? How do we achieve these targets? I keep showing this slide every time we do a presentation. We could do it quite simply by demolishing all the buildings on campus and going back to the 3 original buildings, and then we can be whatever rating we want to be, and we can be platinum stars and everything else. So, but that's not realistic. We have to live in the real world. The university is getting bigger, and so we have to try and look at how we set our targets. Where we're at this year, we've got our figures through, and from a point of view of NUI Galway, we set a target every year, roughly about 3% on our previous year. Back in 2020 or 2019, we were at 39.7, about 40%. So in 2020, our figure, which was realized, was 54.2% lower. Okay, do you see the little thing down there in the red? That's called COVID, and it caused the problem there. So there was no one on campus. There wasn't very much energy being used. So those figures are screw-whiffed. They're totally, it's totally wrong. So what we're saying is that realistically, with the university, that we reckon we're probably at 42%, and this has been sort of confirmed as well with the figures coming out from SCI, that there's probably about been 11 or 12% reduction overall throughout the whole public sector. So while it's great to be achieving 54.2%, realistically, it's only probably about between 42.5%, which again is we're on track for our 2025 targets. So this was our latest figures coming through from the university. So as you can see with our annual energy consumption, we used 26 million kilowatt hours of all those electricity imported gas put, and the CO2 was 6.5 million. We've actually uploaded our 2021 annual report onto the sustainability website. So if anybody wants to have a read through and see where we're at in terms of that report, it's available as of yesterday, I think. We couldn't put it up before the audit completed, so we'd asked that it was put up last night. So again, talking about CO2 emissions, 2020 reduction, there was a reduction there of, as you can see, we were 53.3% less than the baseline, but again, those figures aren't accurate with the whole COVID. So we reckon probably by 2023, our figures will be back stable, assuming that everything's back to normal again next year. But you can read more about that in the report, as I say, if you want to go through that. So I just want to show you this slide because it shows you the issue with the COVID has caused on campus. So we take, say, for instance, the quadrangle building there just in the middle. And back in 2019, in August, we were using 24,000 kilowatt hours of energy in the building that month. But if you look at 2021, we're actually only using 10,000. So there's a massive reduction. So that's why we know the figures are not right, because all these purples are showing, look at all the reduction and within the buildings. So we've gone through that as part of our report yesterday, and it is, as I say, it'll probably be the end of 2022-23 before we start seeing the normal figures that we're used to, the reductions. So we use this on a monthly basis to see if buildings go into the red or the yellow, we can look and say, well, look, there's a problem in that building there. There could be a problem with the boiler. There could be a problem with someone leaving lights on, or someone has left an immersion on in some experiment. So it's a tool that we use ourselves to try to gauge what energy is going or being not used properly. So as I say, these were some of our high energy users from the report that we generated. So as you can see, the art science building is one of the high users, and Alice Perry is the high user as well. James Hardiman Library, the Science SRB building. So we have a full list of all the buildings that are basically using a lot of energy, and we manage these on a daily basis. We find out what's going on. Is there any issues in terms of, like we know in the human biology building, we have an issue there with humidifiers. So we're looking at an alternative solution to try and reduce the energy load there. So as you can see, there's a lot of difference between year 2019 and 2020. There's been generally a reduction. But as you can see with the one in human biology, it actually went up because that building never really closed. It's a research building, but humidifiers were playing up, and that's what's caused the increase. So I suppose as EPO for university, I'm always looking for opportunities, how we can reduce energy. And as part of our ISO 50001, we have what's called a register of opportunities, where we're looking all the time to see what projects can we look at, what can we implement, over the year, or what projects have we completed. So we have seeking approved completed. So as you can see, the seeking there, we're seeking projects worth 5 million currently. We've 15 or 1.5 million approved projects, which will happen over the last couple of years. And the completed approved 1.36, that was back in 2019, 2020. We did a lot of work over the period when the university was closed. We had an opportunity to carry out works without disturbing very many people. So as I say, within the last 2 years, we're looking at 7.89 million. So it shows that the university actively promote and actively support any applications we make for funding, whether through SEI or HEA, or even our own energy savings. This is the copy of the register of opportunities for 2021, 2022. Quite a detailed, we go into all the different areas in terms of energy, cost, budgets, so we can inform ourselves what budgets we need. And it's very small there, but we can go through that some other stage. So we're also currently looking with our partners in the U9, we're also looking at the gap to target review. So this was issued out recently by the SEI for us to start reviewing to see what do we have to get to. So we're looking at our baseline figures, see where we need to produce or reduce as such our gap to target. We have done a few evaluations. We have listed out a number of projects, and we feel that by 2030, we can get basically down to the values that are needed. There are going to be anticipated, as you can see there in the left-hand column, the anticipated reduction from electricity supply. So that's basically Electric Ireland reducing down their network and reducing the carbon through new renewable technologies, etc. So it's an interesting project that we're working on at the minute, and we'll share more of this maybe in January or February because we'll have a better idea. Again, the 2019, 2020, 21 figures are sort of making a mess of this at the minute. So between ourselves and SEI and a few of the other partners, we're trying to come up with formulas to try and get us back on track. But we'll release something probably January or February on this. So again, we have set out our own plan of what we wanted to do here on campus up to 2030, and these were just some of the highlights, that we want to develop. We're looking at installing a new north and south campus district heating system. We're looking to install 500 kilowatts of solar PV, and we have 300 kilowatts installed. We've actually upped that figure now to 1,000 kilowatts. We've done a survey of all the rooftop here in NUI Galway, and we reckon we can get about 1,000 kilowatts solar PV. So that's a megawatt of power being generated through the solar PV on, I suppose, during the summer period and a bit into the autumn as well. So, and we're getting great results out of that at the minute. We're looking also at new wood pellet biomass boilers. We've already installed 6,500 LED lights on site in the past 10 years. We have upgrades to heat pumps and the green lab techniques. We're looking to get more involved with that, and student awareness campaigns, which I'll talk about later on. The only technology we don't have on campus currently is wind turbine. We can't site one on the campus itself because we're so near the SEC and the river, but we're looking at it for possibly our campus building out in Curran, and we're doing some research currently in that. I suppose what we need to look at as well is that a lot of the projects that these are all mechanical, electrical. We also have undertaken some fabric buildings, and we have basically highlighted 4 buildings that we're hoping to do next summer through energy funding from SEI for fabric upgrades to those buildings. So we do normally get involved with some students to get some experience working on those projects. So we'll be doing a call for that probably early next year if anybody wants to apply for that. So this is just a check sheet that we normally run through and say, well, what do we do? So we raised opportunities summer 2022 with that done. Carbon footprint for staff and students. We were involved with the guys, Jamie and Tomas and Vincent on that. The Exceed funding project on our campus has gone in, libraries just on hold. District heating project, that's part of the Exceed. HEA funding, Pathfinder 1, we're all involved in that. 2, we weren't successful. Energy training, yeah, we've done training for our own staff. Communication and graphics, we've updated that. SEI funding, hopefully there'll be a call now in March for better energy, we'll apply for that. Climate mitigation with the SEI, we've been looking at that with those guys, and then live campus metering program, and that'll tie in with Milena's project and Hannah's project on the Battle of the Buildings, where we'll have live metering for that competition, and that's starting up in January, which is really exciting to look forward to. We're developing the master plan with our energy consultants and new partnership and agreements. We're looking at that as well. And obviously the SAI awards, but we're also looking at preparing an energy booklet and video for on campus. And Vincent and ourselves and the Green Campus and a few other people have some great ideas in that. So I think we'll push that forward early next semester. How do we keep an eye on all this? We have what's called an energy dashboard that we log all this information on. At the minute, it's an Excel package that we have, and we're looking at a few different bodies to see can we basically make this more web-based. And it's because there's so many different bits of information that's required, we're finding it hard to actually link all that in. But anyway, that'll happen soon enough. So again, this is another part of the armory that we have. This is our build management system, which is live on our systems here. So we can see what's happening on campus, whether it's through energy, heat and ventilation, chillers, remote sites, our PV, what our CHPs are doing at any one time. We can also use this, like this, just a snapshot, and that was showing all the heating. If it's red, it means that the heating's on. If it's purple, it means there's a problem with something in the, and if it's the bluish color, it means that the heating's off. So it's just some of the more information that we can put forward to our own team. But hopefully with when the cyber attack and all these things are back normal, we'll be able to upload more of this information online, so at any stage anybody can log on and see, get so far to see what's going on and get some of the readings. This was one of the case studies that we released recently on the solar PV that was installed last year on top of the Art Science building. So we installed 250 kilowatts of PV in the summer of 2020. So after the first year, the Art Science and the Alice Perry raised. So Alice Perry has 50 kilowatts and Art Science is 200. And we generated 183,000 kilowatts of electricity from it. And we offset 120,000 kilograms of CO2. So we estimate roughly we can generate about 200 kilowatts of electricity off the systems. And in terms of CO2 offsetting, we offset 9,000 trees and the worth 40 car journey. So that's live on the system all the time. Those will be up live in the web-based system we're upgrading. And if anybody ever wants to go and have a look at these systems, or if anybody wants to do a research project involved with the PV, you know, like it's university, as Jamie says, it's live, learn, lead. So we've installed, you can learn from it and you can do your research on it. So it's just a matter of linking in with myself or one of the team, and we can try and get you access. So again, so that's the solar PV installed in 2020. So it just shows you the scale that's installed, but it also shows you the potential of roof space. Like you can see the rest of the Art Science there that we can plug into there, and the IT building. Orbison is not great really because of where it is, but there is potential for loads of other buildings that we can install new PV installations on. So what are we planning for the next 8 years? So one of the big ones is just a heating system for North and South Campus. That's why we've applied for the Exceed building. The North Campus one is more progressed than the South because there's other issues with that, but I'll explain that in a while. So what we're looking at is with the Energy Centre behind engineering, we're looking at linking in the Cairns, Myola, Science and Tech, Kingfisher and Cork Village, Alice Perry for one district heating system, and we're looking to basically optimise all the systems that we've up there, the wood pellet, the solar PV, the CHPs, the gas boilers, and we're also looking at integrating heat pump. So it's a matter of trying to tie all those together. Our own sort of timeline is that we'd hope to be on construction of this back in 2023. It'll probably cost the guts of maybe 5 to 6 million. So that's where we just need to go and get funding for that. The Learning Commons project, which I think a lot of students have been involved in and given advice and opinions of how it should look and everything else. I'm involved in it from the point of view of looking at the energy rating for the building. So we've been looking at BREEAM, we've been looking at LEED, we're looking at WELL International, but also we've been looking at soft landing. The soft landings is an interesting scope, and I think it's something that's going to become a lot more prominent here in Ireland. It is quite well used in the UK, but in Ireland it's not really seen as such yet. But I think from this point of view, this project, we'll be looking at more of the technologies and how people react after the building when it's completed, and occupancy, etc. So that'll be an interesting project when it gets underway. From that as well, we're also looking at some of the sustainability side of it. We're looking at operation performance of the buildings, and these are technical memorandums from CIBSE that we've been using with the design team IN2, and hopefully we'll be able to get some sort of learnings from it as well. They will be using BIM, so we'll be trying to integrate as much of the BIM stuff and existing services. The big diagram you can see in the corner there is of a 1 megawatt heat pump. That's what is proposed for, because the library currently is served off the existing district heating system. We're looking at integrating the 1 megawatt to feed both art science and the library to try and reduce the amount of energy over in that direction, but more on that soon. So this is one of our Pathfinder projects, and this was funded with the HEA and the SCI, and we've got funding of 700,000 between the college and the and HEA. And we have basically, we chose this building because of the, as I mentioned before, about the B2 and bringing all our buildings to standards. This one was the building we chose. We're looking at installing a 200 kilowatt heat pump. We're looking at 30 kilowatts of PV with battery storage. We're looking at LED lighting and some fabric upgrade as well. So that's a very interesting project. The tenders are just back and we're waiting on word now from HEA, and hopefully the contract is be starting on the 6th of January, and it's a 3-month contract. We, as I say, the BER that we did on the building was a D1, and after the works we're looking at an A3. We did an air tightness test one afternoon, and we only found one problem. It was a disabled access door at the far end of the building. The building is a 1970s building, held well, and there had been work done on the windows and they were sealed. So it's part of the learnings is going forward for the projects we'll have, and it was an interesting topic to do. Again, talking about, as Jamie was saying, the learn need. We invited the RSU team to come along and get involved in the project with us, Marcus and Lewis and a few others, and students, Owen and Dara, put together a presentation on sensor placement, and they looked at the BIM and they looked at the energy usage and they looked at monitoring and verification. The sensors have been installed now in the building for the verification stuff, so hopefully we'll start seeing some results back from that. We did apply for this Pathfinder 2, and this was non-silent, a HGA building. Unfortunately, there was only 6 programs brought forward, and we didn't sort of make the cut on that one. But we're progressing ourselves now. We're looking at it from a point of view of a project, hopefully within the next year, and hopefully we get that building moving. We're also involved, myself and Jamie and Michelle are involved with Galway City Council on the decarbonisation zone. As you can see, NUI Galway on the far right hand side is a large scale part of this decarbonisation zone. And this has been, this will be an interesting project going forward for the university, for learnings, but also for research and students getting involved in it. As I say, they're looking at EV charging, they're looking at fabric, they're looking at LED, they're looking at renewable technology, all the stuff that we've done on campus. So we're hoping that they learn from stuff that we've done and also learn from mistakes or findings that we had. So that'll be an interesting project going forward for the next couple of years. As I said, the U9 is all the university energy managers, the EPOs from all the different universities, from UCC, from Maynooth, from DCU, UCD. We meet on a monthly basis. It's nearly like we talk about our problems and we share our feelings, and it's a useful tool because we've got good contacts and we do a lot of collaboration stuff together and share ideas. So it's something that's it's one of the better collaborations we're involved in. So getting into the nitty-gritty, NUI Galway plans to be carbon neutral in 9 years, and this is not a drill. So we're on a daily basis trying to meet targets and carbon and energy. So we're putting a lot of time and effort into it at the minute. One of the things I feel is necessary is that we get more involved with the students, and I feel in our M&R was at least 2 or 3% reduction on energy and carbon. If we can get more involved with the students and more sort of days like this when Earth Day was on, Kenny and Sean met with students and we handed out free light bulbs so we can change light bulbs, the energy efficient light bulbs in their accommodation or wherever they are, or discuss energy projects on campus. There'll be a lot more of that coming up in the next year. So first, future developments on campus. I just want to show you this little Lego graph. In 1970, the university had a 55,000 square meter footprint. In 2018, it's 214,000, but by 2030, that could go up to 304,000 square meters. So we're always looking at, while we're trying to reduce energy, the campus has to grow, the campus has to develop, the campus has to, bring in new technologies, new learning, new research. So we're always fighting to try and make sure that the new specifications are compliant with our statement of fundamentals and how they run, how they're operated, and how we reduce energy. So it's just the bigger picture. Like, it's not just about maybe turning off a few lights. We're also looking how we develop the campus, how we move forward, you know, what ideas can we come up with and what new technologies can we implement. But you can see the scale of the things to come between now and 2030 is huge. Unfortunately, we had to cancel this because of just a few things happened, but we'll start this up again in January, and we'll try and align it with Milena and Hannah's event on the Battle of the Buildings, and try and get more people involved. We're looking at trying to have an energy conference here in NUI Galway in March or April, so hopefully we get that moving. NUI Galway, the climate action plan, so just awareness campaigns. You know, we did the ones for switch off at Halloween, and we have the 12 days of festive Christmas going on at the minute, trying just giving ideas about turning things off. University is closing officially on the 22nd of December, not open again the 7th of January. And we're sort of hoping that everybody turns everything off in their office, but that's highly unlikely because we've tried that a number of times and people just don't switch things off. So we'll see what happens there. So this was just something we've this running on Twitter at the minute, so it's just daily sort of little tasks. Look, you know, turn off your electric heaters, turn off computers, turn off printers, etc. So if you see it on Twitter, like it and pass it on or share it. So this next bit here is sort of it's more for the student branch representatives. As Raquel says, I am chair of Building Services CIBSE, which are the Chartered Institution of Building Service Engineers here in Ireland. And as part of that, we have links with ASHRAE and Engineers Ireland through students and the YEN, Young Engineers Association. So it's just something I wanted to, you know, we've been trying to promote the integration and promotion of both building services amongst all our members, etc., and new students, etc. And I always look at this one here and say, look, you know, people ask, say, what's a building service engineer? And so I always say, oh, building services bring buildings to life, and then just read out this. So imagine yourself in the most fabulous building in the world. Now take away the lighting, heating, ventilation, the lifts, the escalators, acoustics, plumbing, power supply, and energy management systems, the security and safety systems. You're just left with a cold, dark, uninhabited shell. So that's what building services engineers do. Energy engineers do the same as well. So whether through ASHRAE or Engineers Ireland or CIBSE, you know, this is what building service engineers do. That's what they'll do on a daily basis. Okay, so both CIBSE and ASHRAE in the 15th December last year, we re-signed the accord between the two groups to say, look, if you're a member of CIBSE, you can become a member of ASHRAE. If you're a member of ASHRAE, you can become a member of CIBSE, and that works quite well. Delighted to say we signed up with Daniel and the team on the mentorship program, and really looking forward to see how that's going for, I suppose, to be junior engineers, graduate engineers, and I think it's up to the age of 36. So really looking forward to seeing how that goes forward. But again, student membership is free. So if you want to become a member of CIBSE, you know, it's free at the minute. You can just, as I say, make the application for that. You know, CIBSE, as I say, demonstrates commitment to the industry, become involved in the institution, and start their pathway to engineering council registration. So CIBSE here in Ireland, we have 900 members, there's 20,000 worldwide. You get a magazine every month. You have access to CIBSE guides, technical memorandums, commissioning codes, code to practice, research insight, publications, manuals, etc. So all those are free once you get on. You can get on the website. There's loads of stuff if you're either a mechanical engineer or an energy engineer. There's loads of societies that you can join it. So thanks very much for listening to me rambling on there. As I say, if you want to contact me either through CIBSE or through NUI Galway to see anything, please do. Okay, thanks.
Thanks a million, Michael. Very, very nice presentation. A lot of details, a lot of information there. Thanks a million for sharing with us everything that NUI Galway is doing, like to implement this sustainability on campus. And now I'm going to pass on the mic to Hannah to talk a little bit about the student contribution to sustainability. Thank you very much, Hannah, for accepting the invitation, and good presentation. Thanks a million.
Thanks so much, Raquel. Can you guys hear me okay? My
headphones
were okay, super. Thank you. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Yeah, so perfect. Thank you so much again for the invitation. Really, really glad to be here today, not only to get to speak to you all about sort of the student side of energy on campus through the Energy Society point of view, but also just to hear about all the amazing work that's going on. I always enjoy hearing Jamie and Michael give talks to kind of update me on the status of things at NUIG. So first jumping into sort of the student involvement side of the sustainability strategy, primarily through the Energy Society lens. Late last summer, maybe early autumn, we, the Energy Society, were asked to provide feedback to the sustainability strategy plan at the time. You know, they were devising it. It was in one of the final stages of its draft, but they wanted student feedback. So, you know, each of us sort of gave our wish list of what we would like to see, maybe, or suggestions for improvements, building on things that were already in there. And then we also shared the feedback form with students all across campus, as did CUSP, you know, the actual group making it, but so that everybody could do the same. And as a society, as well as a couple other people we spoke to who aren't in our society, there seemed to be a general trend, which was, you know, we are broadly satisfied, right, with a lot of the aims of the sustainability strategy. I personally was very impressed with the breadth that, you know, it covered. I talked about a lot more than I was actually expecting, anticipating, I guess, just based on past experiences with sometimes this sort of legislation. You know, at the government level, it can be a bit sparse, maybe, on things that you wanted to talk about. But I thought that the strategy was pretty brave in a lot of ways because it covered a lot of different topics. However, we would have liked maybe in some cases it to be a bit more specific with, you know, we have this goal, how are we going to get there? But maybe this wasn't the place to list all of this. As long as there was a plan in place, we were happy. And maybe we thought, though, that in some of the cases, it could be a bit more bold with the goals. And that's not a criticism. I think, once again, it was a very good plan. I think, you know, just as students, it's always kind of our job, especially because we're growing up in this world, you know, yourselves, of the climate crisis, and we're kind of inundated with it. So we want to be extra critical and make sure that we're holding those with the power accountable. I mean, for instance, one thing that we had qualms about, I suppose, was, you know, the N6 bypass getting to go through the university campus, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. But it was also, you know, kind of discussed with us, well, this plan and this group maybe don't have the power to make those sorts of decisions. So it kind of, you know, showed that there is still some like higher ups who are making decisions maybe outside of the plan, but it was really good to have this plan in place so that we could try to hold them more accountable. And then we also we're very fortunate, you know, we have a good relationship with Michelle, who Jamie mentioned earlier, and she allowed us to have a position for an Energy Society member on CUSP. So one of our members, Orla, she actually kind of acted as the liaison between ourselves, representing just a small portion of the student voice, I understand, but at least some students on CUSP. And then there was a couple other student members as well that weren't from our society. And then we also, throughout the year, you know, with CUSP involvement and working with Michael, because he actually mentioned the library development plan as well, but you know, we were able to give feedback for that, try to encourage in any way we can at that more, I guess, higher up level than just the student voice, trying to get some green policies, green energy implemented into university decisions. So it just felt nice that we were able to actually have representation on such a committee. We also, you know, we set forth a proposal for getting pedal-powered charging stations for the campus, just to make, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but if you sometimes you see them at train stations in the mainland Europe or something like this, but you sit down and you pedal and you can be charging your phone or charging your laptop while you're working on it. And we just wanted something that was a bit interactive for the campus, and maybe it could be part of the battle of the buildings, you know, like we move the pedal charging station to different buildings, and see who can generate the most electricity for a week or for a month or whatever it is. So just, yeah, to make green energy more visible to students as well. And so this is something that we're still working on. And then we also, we're helping promote the summer scholarships that I mentioned, and working with CUSP over the summer. For instance, Milena, she was one of the students who received one of the scholarships, and she helped develop this Battle of the Buildings competition. So what do we do more broadly? If you don't know about the Energy Society, because I think a lot of people here aren't even from NUIG. So essentially we're a student society, and we're all passionate about energy, I guess you can say, especially obviously like green energy, renewable energy, energy technology. So we do get guest speakers from the renewable energy field. So whether that be, scientists and researchers, or people who actually like know the technical side, who are like on the ground implementing, say, some of the solar panels. For instance, Michael came and spoke to our group a couple of years ago, this sort of thing. This past October, we received a grant to go travel to the European Parliament, and we held an anti-fast fashion show as part of like a youth climate activist event. And so essentially the idea there is to promote people buying clothes secondhand. They had signs that said how much CO2 was saved by wearing a secondhand outfit, how much money as well they personally saved, how much water and how much energy was saved. And then there was, voiceover and this sort of thing that talked about the negative side of fast fashion, on human rights, on energy use, on the environment more broadly. So this was one of our major events this year. So yeah, to bring it up again, we are also huge opponents of the N6 bypass. And for those of you who don't know, the higher ups in the university have given the green light, no pun intended, for a dual carriageway, a 4-lane highway essentially, to cut through Dangan sports grounds. And so right now which was unfortunately just also approved by Lord Planea. And so we're just trying to chase up, like where students consulted, how did this go about? Because it will greatly affect us. It's our sports grounds, it's our campus that now another highway is going through. And it is one of the last like untouched places of nature and biodiversity on campus. So that was a bit disappointing. And we also take field trips. So this is us in Barcelona before COVID. And we were actually able to go and learn about ITER. So it's a tokamak, which is a fusion reactor that, hopefully, ITER, not ITER itself, but hopefully in the future, tokamaks will be able to provide, large amounts of energy, especially for the grid, so that factories and these sorts of things can run off of them. But this is still in the research phase, but we were able to go and learn about that. We also held Bike Week 2021. So we had like a cycling competition. So you essentially got different prizes for how many kilometers you're able to cycle throughout the week. And we did a breakfast, we did a group cycle, and these sorts of things. We gave out free high-vis vests and bike lights to promote safety, and just to try to get students and staff. We had a good amount of staff involved as well. To get them to cycle more and use greener forms of energy. And actually transport. And something I will say is that we had a feedback form at the end, and like every single person who had something to say said it was a lot of fun, but if they could prove anything, it'd be more cycle lanes in the city, because it was scary to cycle on the road. And that's fully, I agree with that. We also generated a green map of Galway. So, kind of highlighting the circular economy. We have a map of a list, a directory, I guess, of every secondhand and repair shop in the city, so that it's easy, for students or anybody living in the city, instead of going to buy something new, whether it be clothes, whether it be an electronic device of some sort, first try to get it mended, try to get it sewn, or, the screen fixed or whatever. And if you can't, then donate it or sell it back or something like this, to try to, prevent all this waste from piling up. And the energy side of that, obviously, as well. And we also had a wind farm 5K, which, full disclosure, was a fundraiser for the next thing the thing I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But it also, we wanted it to be at the wind farm, so that we could kind of once again make renewable energy more visible. And just, it's a great asset, the trails there, for the running, walking, anybody in the community really. And then, as Michael mentioned, we will be helping with the Battle of the Buildings competition. So comparing, long story short, comparing energy reduction between 3 buildings on campus, including the engineering building, which we are based in, by encouraging behavioral change more than anything amongst students and staff. And hopefully we'll have some fun competitions and ways to do that. So this is what I alluded to a minute ago, what the fundraiser is for, but this spring we will actually be having a green energy festival that will be highlighting local groups promoting green energy, that promote green energy and sustainability. And this will take place in Terryland Forest Park to also kind of promote the local green and blue spaces. And we partner a lot with Galway National Park City, so this will be good for both of us to kind of show people more like the beautiful places in Galway, and to hold events in them, and bring more people out to use the amenity. And we will have live demonstrations and live music, so keep an eye out for that. What else do we do? So as far as biodiversity is concerned, we plant native trees. So for this past spring, for National Tree Week, we actually planted 450 trees, socially distant, as you can see, but in Terryland Forest Park. And then we gave away another 50 trees to our members. We are helping with the biodiversification project in historic Menlo Village. Just putting up signs like this, planting native wildflowers, and just trying to kind of generate awareness about biodiversity. And this is, they came to us about it actually, and so we're just helping out. But yeah, they were really passionate about that, which was amazing. We have also been helping map the cycle and walking paths of Galway. So here is the biodiversity trail, huge asset to students and members of the community alike. One of my favorite places in Galway. I would definitely recommend it. It's a beautiful walk. And essentially we were mapping it, but also kind of taking note of, okay, if you cycle here, these are the places that you can park your bike. If you drive, this is where you can park your car. Accessibility of the trail for different needs. So, some people are in wheelchairs, they couldn't. We also hope to adopt a patch near Terryland Forest, Terryland Castle, once we get the go-ahead from the City Council for that, just to kind of biodiversify the area, maybe add some benches and this sort of thing, and kind of discourage antisocial behavior that occurs underneath the bridge right across from our campus. And then we also do a lot of climate activism and outreach. Some of the examples you can see here. So we are proponents of the Galway Lewis, and Galway Lewis before, like a light rail, before the bypass, and cycle lanes before the bypass. Pretty much anything, try something else before building more roads that will only invite more traffic, and won't solve the problem long term. We have guest speakers, anything from politicians to activists who want to talk to us, or who we want to talk to, I guess, about climate activism. We held a Meatless Mondays campaign, as you can see over here, on Instagram last November. We held an upcycle Christmas tree competition last year, and we're doing it again this year. So there's still time to enter if anybody's interested. And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram to learn more about that. And that's just to kind of encourage people, instead of buying a plastic tree, which is a waste of resources and energy, that because it's just going to be thrown away as students, you're going to throw it away most likely after a few weeks. Try to make your own. We also held Earth Week 2021 and helped plan that. So during that, we had a sort of online anti-fast fashion competition where people, sent in pictures of their favorite charity shop outfits, and then we gave, prizes to the winner. But we also had guest talks, a beach clean, these sorts of things. We're developing a sustainability app that kind of sort of like Couch to 5K, if that makes sense, but for sustainability. So it helps people who want to integrate more sustainable habits into their life in a like baby steps, sort of way, step-by-step manner. So we're trying to work with the IT department now, and hopefully this could become a student's project, and maybe final year or master's project, to kind of bring it to fruition and potentially be used as a classroom resource for any teachers who are interested, even in like secondary schools around the country. We hold documentary nights, and then we do a lot of social media outreach and education. But I'd just like to finish up, and thank you once again for your time, but by saying that none of these things would be possible without all of our partners, and the support from all of these groups and more, who help us in all of our endeavors, give us advice, access to resources, ideas, inspiration, and support. So yes, thanks very much to all of them, and thank you all very much for your time.
Thanks a million, Hannah. There's a lot of interesting activities the students are engaged with. So it's very nice to hear about all those activities and everything. So thanks a million. And I'll just make some final comments after we move to the Q&A session. So once again, thanks a million for the three speakers, Jane Goggins, Michael Curran, and Hannah Aris, to give their view about the sustainability plan implementation for NUI Galway. It was very nice talks, and we could hear from different perspectives. So it was a very enriching experience. Thanks a million. And here I'll just like make a note about students that want to join our branch, the ASHRAE NUI Galway student branch. So all registered students are invited to join us. And the membership as today it's free. And if you have any questions, you can contact me. I'll share my email afterwards, and you can talk to me about joining us. And there's like a lot of benefits from joining the ASHRAE student branch, such as access to the ASHRAEjobs.com, discounts in the student bookstore, scholarships and grants, student design competition, discounted registration to ASHRAE conferences, access to monthly ASHRAE journal and insights newsletter, the mentorship program in association with CIBSE Ireland, and much more. So if you're interested and you're a registered NUI Galway student, just let me know. And now we're going to proceed to our Q&A session. So please send your questions in the chat. But if you want to ask a question using audio or video, please raise your hand. This function, this raise your hand, it's inside the reactions tab. You can also send your questions during and after the webinar to my email address. That's raquel.lima@nuigalway.ie. And if for any reason we're not able to answer your question during the Q&A session, we will answer it later by email. And if some of you cannot attend the Q&A session, this will be recorded as well, and you can see the recording at the ASHRAE Ireland YouTube channel. I posted the link for the YouTube channel in the chat. And so this webinar, including the Q&A session, is being recorded, and we've posted on the YouTube channel this link that I've already posted on chat as well. And the presentations are also available for download. They were posted on the chat as well. So we'll start with the Q&A session. We already have some questions over here in the chat. I'm going to read them and ask our speakers to answer them. So the first one was from Andreas. Thank you for this event. Andreas, PhD student here. I'm sorry I cannot participate in the full event. Since this event is recorded, I would like to still pose a question. I'd appreciate if you would speak to the university as emotionally connecting with the rest of nature. That would be about not only optimizing our function in the ecosystem. Is there an emotional connection with the rest of nature that is nurtured in the university, and if so, how? So Professor Jamie Goggins already answered that. So
yeah,
he said,
Raquel, I've answered that and on it already. And there is a biodiversity trail in the university. I've given a link in there, nuigalway.ie/biodiversity. You can actually put in your headphones, and there's an audio for it. There's also a video trail if you can't actually physically get out there, but it's better to physically get out there. Also, there's actions underway as part of our biodiversity plan in terms of tree planting, pollinator plan, wildflower planting, and so on. You'll see around the university in more recent years that there's areas left for wildflowers and pollinators and so on. And then as part of induction for the first years, as part of the health and well-being, part of the orientation for first years, Elaine and Sophie, who were our two student sustainability leadership awardees, they did a biodiversity and sustainability walk around the campus. And there is a project planning on the way for eco-anxiety in there. There is a group from the Students' Union side that are for the students that meet for students that have eco-anxiety as well in there. So there's a good bit happening. There's more happening as well. There should be more benches and so on going on. Sorry, I have to leave now because I'm actually running over time for another meeting and that. But if anyone wants to contact me directly, my email address is there. It's on the slides and it's at the bottom on the chat there. So thanks everybody.
Thanks a million, Professor Jamie. Thank you.
See you, Jamie.
Yeah, so there are a lot of like actions and university about it. There's more information on the chat. I left a link on this biodiversity trail and other projects that are in university about this connection to the nature and everything. So for our next question, it's interesting to see figures from Michael and the COVID-related reduction in energy across campus. With respect to return to normal, do you envisage an ongoing hybrid working scenario within the university? And in that case, do you need to adapt to how buildings are managed from an operational perspectives, such as perhaps moving away from fixed schedules or for some areas to a more demand-based control? If so, where do you see the main challenges in post-COVID operations? So if Michael can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I suppose, look, it's something interesting. I did have another slide, but I don't know if where it is.
I can share it, yeah.
You see, I don't know if I can find, I had another presentation. Let's see quickly, sorry, apologies, I'm trying to find it because it is an interesting slide. And it was in our last meeting with CUSP, I presented this slide. Yeah, I don't know, can you see that? Can you see that?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay, just let me try something here.
Okay.
I forgot I had to share it. Sorry, that's in the way there. No, I need to move that. This was a CUSP presentation. And
yeah, I can see your screen now.
You can see this now, yeah?
Yeah.
So this is a slide that we that I use quite a lot. When people were saying universities closed, when I say about energy.
Michael,
so these are all the meters.
I think, yeah, I think we're seeing your folders, not the presentation itself.
Oh, you're not
I think it's in the other screen.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Can you see that? Even see that screen?
No, I can see the folder where the files are in, but not the presentation itself.
It's not going to work. I'll actually share it with everyone later on. Yeah. So basically, what it was, it was a screen grab of all our meters at the time on the 20th of March, whatever it was, 2020 at this stage, and it showed a sort of reduction of about 30–40%. Like, we have to realize we are a research university. We are a full-time university. So whilst there was an impression that the university and the campus just dropped to zero, it didn't, because a lot of our buildings, like engineering that you have in the background there, science research building, human biology, even all the buildings still have a power requirement. So we have looked at this scenario where if people were working from home, would we save much energy? And we were saying, realistically, we're not going to save that much, because someone like Jamie could come in next week with a 500 kilowatt electrical load for some big turbine that he wants to develop. So there's an offset against both. What we've been sort of looking at from a hybrid point of view is trying to encourage staff to do work from home. You know, can we maybe give them advice on energy grants? And that'll come out of the decarbonisation zone project as well. So we feel that if we engage with staff to try and reduce their own footprint at home, whilst we don't get the advantage here, they get the advantage at home. And like with all these things, the university will be increasing capacity over the next 10 years as well, as I showed in my graph earlier. But yeah, that's what I think it is going to be.
Yeah, yeah, moving night to home is like the way to go now. And yeah. So Julia asked, where was the video posted from Michael's presentation? So it was posted on Twitter. So you can follow NUI Galway Energy to see the video.
Yeah.
And Ali is raised his hand, so just give him permission to. Yeah, I think Ali, can you share your audio or video, or?
Yeah.
Is it yeah, Ali, thank you very much.
I'm just curious, with the talk of how all the projects coming to the university are meant to follow through on the strategy plan, how has the planned road construction been factored into that? Especially like when we talk about the biodiversity and pollinator spaces on campus, a lot of that is based around Dangan, as by the sustainability report that was published the other day. And the road is going to go directly to that, but like, how is that being mentioned on a university side to work with the sustainability action plan?
I can't give an answer on that because I'm not involved in the decision of any of the projects, that side of capital projects. Like, as I say, I look after the energy side and I'm not involved with it. So, but like, I'm sure there'll be further discussions coming out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, sorry, Michael, if I could ask you a follow-up on that. Do you know who does make those decisions on that kind of thing? Is that like the president's office, or?
Well, it would be, look, as I say, I'm not sure who made the decision, but most decisions are through UMT. You know, like, that's the governing body of the university, and then there's other bodies as well that's involved in it. So, to be honest, I'm not sure. You know, so I'm not trying to deflect it. I'm just not involved in it. You know, my aim is to reduce energy on campus, and again, we're involved. Like, we're involved with, you know, with the Christmas trees there now, 2 Christmas trees. So we're looking at offsetting those Christmas trees that we used this year. We're looking at planting additional trees either here on campus or off site. So, like, it's from the biodiversity plan. The university it's an excellent plan that's here, and like, there's so much going on in university from that side. So look, that's unfortunately I can't give any answer on that one.
No problem. Yeah, and I have another question here from Julia. Do you have studies showing the positive impact of more work from home into overall grid, house consumption for working from home versus working on campus?
We don't actually have any studies, but can I give a sort of it's not a technical answer to that. It's actually, you'll find sometimes that working from home and working on campus, you know, it's a different energy sort of like, for us to turn on a building, it's consuming quite a lot of electricity. We're working from home, and everyone's doing it now at the minute. We're all looking at how we can save energy at home. We've tender going out for 10 energy home kits, where hopefully through linking with Hannah and her team and Milena, that as part of the buildings, we can give staff these energy kits so they can go home and say, you know, what's our power output from our fridge or from our TV, and come back and see ways of, you know, changing it. We're also looking with SEI as well, seeing can we get more information from them in terms of fabric, how we can update fabric at homes, but also as well, the likes of the credit unions, see what loans are available. As I say, the university, our electrical load in you know, like, we're a small town within a city. Our electrical load is huge, and it's on a daily basis managing it's actually quite scary sometimes. I do have some sleepless nights, especially when there's storms, because I'm worried about experiments getting destroyed if we lose power. So yeah. But it's an interesting topic. Like, and if someone wants to come towards us and say, listen, we'd be interested to do some monitoring or some, like, we meet with them and discuss it, you know.
That's the questions we have so far. Does anyone have any other questions to ask the speakers? Just like pop it in the chat or raise your hand.
Can I just comment on one of the topics that Hannah talked about as well, about the cycle bikes generate your own electricity? We're looking for madcap ideas all the time, how we can, you know, reduce energy on campus. And I did actually look at the project for putting a mat in the full length of Art Science Building from Smokies right to the Bank of Ireland. Like when you walk down, you generate electricity, but unfortunately the floor there is protected, so we couldn't put anything on it. So it would have been a good idea, like, you know, so, but again, we could probably do it somewhere else, you know, because that's the type of thing that, you know, we like to get involved in. We're looking at the minute currently, we have 20 EV charging points. So we're looking at hopefully another 6 next year in the car park, the Park and Ride car park. But we're also looking as part of that to install covered PV over those parking spots. So we're generating the electricity through those. Again, we're looking at, as Hannah was saying there, about bikes. We have, I think there is some funding put forward now for a couple of the bike stands to be replaced with new, as we call it, the cargo bikes that are being used quite a lot now. For you can see kids getting ferried around places in them, with a shelter suitable for that type of bike, with a PV on top, linked into a pumping station, and you know, for fixing bikes and stuff like that. The other side they didn't talk about at all today was water. I'm involved in the water as part of the plan, the strategy plan. We've reduced our water on campus quite a lot. I spoke recently on Galway BFM about it, and we're looking all the time about installing more water bottles. We did look for funding for installing 3 outdoor water facilities, one outside Engineering Library and one up at Dangan. I'm hoping we may get funded for that. If not, we'll try and fund it from somewhere. But I think for people like walking, if we can have a facility that they can fill water bottles and reduce the amount of water plastics as well, it would be good. On campus, we've installed a lot of percussion taps, and we have a lot of rainwater harvesting systems where we're collecting the rain and we're using it for flushing toilets, etc. There is quite a lot of stuff that we do. We are our own worst enemy. We don't communicate that quite a lot, and it was one of the projects we looked at during the summer. How can we communicate more what we actually do? And as I say, from an energy and a water point of view, we're quite well ahead of the game, and we just have to keep moving forward on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's shy.
Yeah, there's anyone have like any more comments or questions, remarks? Just pop it on the chat or raise your hand.
As I say, if anybody's any questions on energy, if anybody's any questions about whether, you know, some projects they might be interested in or coming to work with us next summer, you know, just send us an email and we'll try and sort something out from that side. We do have, I was talking, is it Mark to that this morning, we do have 3 projects that are going live and that we're looking for a student basically to interact with us. One is number 19 Distillery Road. We're going to refurbish that house, put in new fabric outside, new windows, LED lighting, PV, new systems. The same with the Nuns Island project, but also we're looking at what's called the PV farm. We're looking at a possible site location for a PV farm where we can start, you know, look at large scale development, and we're looking for a few people to look at studies with us on that. But again, any questions, just send them through to us. Or again, like if you want to send to Hannah or even yourself, Raquel, and come back to me and we can try and sort something out. So
yeah, definitely. If anybody sorry, piggyback on that, if anybody wants to reach out, please do. I've put the Energy Society email in the chat there. I think everybody can see that. So yeah, if you want to get involved even with any projects or have an idea for one that you just want more manpower for, let us know and we're always happy to collaborate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I popped by my email address as well if you want to ask any questions or get involved in any way with any of the activities we talked about today. You can like just send me an email. We can sort it out. Michael already put his email address as well. Yeah. So you have all the ways to connect with us.
Exactly.
And yeah, and there's like Jamie's email address as well. He put it on the chat just a little bit before. So great presentations and great to hear the diversity of work and cooperation. Thanks to everyone. Yeah, thanks a million for everyone. It was like a very nice talk we had today. Like nice to talk about like all the activities from all different perspectives as since the beginning of the sustainability strategy to actual actions that are being carried out on campus by the facilities and by the students as well. So it was very nice to hear from all of you and to enrich our knowledge about sustainability on campus. So thanks a million for everyone and for all the participants and everyone that asked questions. And if you have like any other comments or inquiries about these activities or about what was talked today, you can email either one of us and yeah, and see more about it. And this presentation, this webinar will be posted on the ASHRAE Ireland YouTube channel. So feel free to watch it again or send to friends and to someone that was interested in watching it but wasn't able to attend. So feel free to share this. I'll post it on LinkedIn. You can follow our branch LinkedIn page as well. This is the ASHRAE NUI Galway student branch. We have LinkedIn page, and there's a LinkedIn page for ASHRAE Ireland as well. So thanks a million for everyone here today. I think now we're going to end the webinar. If we have any, yeah, we don't have anything else here. So yeah,
thanks,
and
Raquel.
have
Merry
a great
Christmas.
day.
Yeah,
Merry
thanks very
Christmas.
much.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Everyone.
See you later.
Great
Thank
chatting
you.
to you. Yeah, take care.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.